Hello there, and welcome to my social pathology video, by which you understand the underlying mechanics of today's social problems, and also by which you can reconfirm your own life direction. Today, I would like to discuss racial relationships behind Asian American hate crimes. Hello, my name is Dr. Samurai, a professor specialized in international social pathology and active prison counselor of 20 years experience, and also one-time Nobel Peace Prize Award honorable guest official for my peace work. As usual, first I will provide you a brief general information and then like to move on to our main discussions. Let's do it together, okay? Let's start. Anti-Asian American hate crimes. It is going terrible. Like some were attacked with the sledgehammer, some were hit with the cinder block, some were slashed across the face or chest, including ex-veterans and so on. So it is totally out of control and doesn't seem like based upon any one clear reason. So I like to provide some basic introductory information about relationships among races in the United States. Very simply, it is said very base of racism in the United States is said to be by Christian nationalism, that to be white is to be humans, and all the others are not human beings. The information from academic sources. So very base of all kinds of racial discrimination is wrong white supremacist ideas. I put the wrong because I know, based upon my associations with some of the white power leaders, that they do respect other races when they show real guts against the hardships. White people have that mentality. That I can tell you. Those who act out this kind of hate crimes are based on wrong white philosophy. Some scholars point out some of those who actually acted out attacking Asian people in Americas are carrying mental disease or severe personality disorders. That could be true, although it is limited. And I have been pointing out that those who actually act out on violent behaviors are habitual violent offenders, just using this chance of being able to justify their violent acts by this social confusion. They are habitual criminals. They have been doing that through their lives. White people, what kind of impression did they have on Asian people? Simply put, the Asian images in the States seem to be based on Japanese American and Chinese American and Korean Americans. To white people, Chinese people could easily relate to yellow peril that spread, especially at the end of the 19th century, because they swarmed to immigrate into the United States, and the white people in the States had this unspeakable threat against mainly Chinese people who are coming into their territory. So they used the phrase yellow peril, like German people called the Jewish people parasites in those days. So when former President Trump called the coronavirus China virus, it automatically reminded white people of that yellow peril history subconsciously that is linked to primitive and unclean image on them. On the other hand, Japanese people in the United States, they were better at handling the situation, stand very close to white people. So that phrase model minority pretty much come from Japanese image mainly. But all the other successful agents, of course, included. So there were those two images that yellow peril, like China virus type of a negative image, and also the image of privileged immigrants who have been taking advantage of what American societies have to offer. And white people were also thinking Mexican people, Latino people, but especially Mexican people, they still have this deep down image of enemies that comes from the war against Mexico over the southern territory. They fought against each other, and Mexico lost. So deep down in Mexican peoples, they have this anti-American government animosities. I'm talking about the history, okay? It doesn't apply to everybody. And between white people and black people were, as you all know, taken from Africa as slaves, right? The kind of social hierarchy is very difficult to overcome and very difficult to throw away as the image that permeated deeply into white people's mind. So that has been happening even after Civil Rights Act was passed, right? And leading to current Black Lives Matter. So that's white people versus Asian people, white people versus Mexican people, white people versus black people, right? But what about black people versus Asian people? Here comes the three-way. Because you say Asian, each is so different because they don't speak the same language. I am a Japanese, right? But I don't understand the word of Korean. Or I don't understand a Chinese at all against your image. And especially because of what happened during the World War II and way back in history, Japanese, Koreans, Chinese, and all those people are not necessarily on good terms. I'm talking about the general idea. Probably black people have this image towards Japanese people that they are too shrewd and very good at flattering with the white people, you know, like a kiss in the asses. So they have certain disgust against Japanese people who have privileges in a society that the black people do not have. But their image towards Korean people are different too. As you may know, in 1992, there was this Los Angeles riot in which LAPD used excessive force in arresting Mr. Rodney King, and he was severely beaten on the ground by the police officers. And that started the riot. And in that riot, I think some people watched the news that Korean grocery stores and liquor stores were looted and assaulted. It has its roots in 1991 incident in which high school girl Latasha Hollins was shot to kill by Korean liquor store owner, misbelieving that she wouldn't pay for the orange juice, for which she actually was holding the money. It was total misunderstanding. But the Korean shop owner's sentence was way lighter to the eyes of the black people. Anger on the side of black people started to smolder since that Latasha's case. And after that Mr. Rodney King was severely beaten, and that turned on, and all hell broke loose, so to speak, and led to that huge LA riots in the South Central. So black people does not have a good impression on Korean people in general, and against the Japanese they have certain disgust, who are very good at assimilating themselves into white culture. It's like second white citizens or something like that. But what about the relationship between Mexican people and black people? I mean, brown people versus black people. There are three factors. One is that Mexican people came from Mexico, right? So they have this pride that they were indigenous. They were native in the land of Mexico. It's like they were white people in Mexico. And black people were originally from Africa, or they were, from Africa through South America to Mexico and stuff. So Mexican people thought of black people as not belonging to the society originally. But it is also said more educated Mexican peoples are, they have better understanding and relationships with the black people. And the closer they live to each other, their understandings become deeper and better between Mexican people and black people. Also, because of the American movies' popularity all over the world, which depicts black people as gang members and criminals and so, that image penetrate into Latino people's mind outside of the United States. So they already have negative image about the black people even before they come into the United States. Also, especially in Los Angeles, South Central used to be a black neighborhood, right? But more and more people come from Mexico and El Salvador and all those Central America. So they felt some kind of a threat and pressure by the increasing population of brown people. So those black gang members and brown gang members are not on good terms. And also, street gangs are under control of prison gangs. And Los Angeles area is under control of Mexican mafia, right? And black people, they have like a BGF, Black Guerrilla Family. They had war against each other inside the prison. So they both gave a green light for attacking each other. So that also promoted the bad relationship between brown people and black people. But it is said black people originally did not have so much negative image against the brown people. You know, pretty much this population pressure has to do with their later negative image. Now, between Asian people and Mexican people, they are unexpectedly good compared with the relationship between other racial groups. There are some Mexican people who hate Asian people, especially those Korean business owners in Mexican neighborhood or black neighborhood. They hire Mexican people as their employees, right? So they are kind of strict and tough on Mexican people. So on the Mexican people's side, there are some who don't think of Korean people that represents Asian American as not being good. But later on, they came to find out there's much commonalities between Asian way of living and the Mexican way of living, and similar thinking patterns and traditions, much commonalities they found out. So now it is said the relationship between Asian and Mexicans in the United States are better than generally expected. And in some cases, Korean business owners become a sponsor for Mexican employees to obtain a green card and stuff like that. So I talked about very briefly the typical relationship of each races living in the United States. And now like to coming down to Asian American hate crime. What's the reason? There are two ways. There are many cases that black people actually assaulting Asian people, especially Asian elderlies and stuff. Why is this happening? That is partly because they envy the privileged status of Asian Americans, acting very smart, getting along with the white people and taking advantage of all the goods that American societies offer. So they have been holding a feeling of disgust against Asian people, and they also have this pressure coming from racism by white people. So white people discriminate black people. This force goes through black people down to Asian people. And also, those abused is said to get over the trauma by imitating the abuser. Abused imitate abuser in the process of recovery. So black people have already absorbed in white supremacy philosophy, because white people are the most powerful, strongest one in America, right? And black people are here, so they, without knowing it, copying what this most powerful class are doing. So disgust based upon envy and social pressure they have been receiving by racism, and also the white philosophy of discriminating others were already absorbed and established in black people's mind. Those three, they attack Asian people, and Asian people's language barrier, and also historical trauma of Chinese Exclusion Act, and Japanese people being placed in concentration camp and stuff. Those historical trauma. And also because agricultural people have to cooperate with each other, we try to keep quiet among our own group too. Although actually we are competing against each other, not clearly seen from outside. So we have this mentality of not wanting to be involved in others' business. All those things, past trauma and our thinking of don't want to be involved in others' business, and linguistic barriers, and past historical traumas, all those things block us from raising our voices and joining Black Lives Matter demonstrations and stuff. So black people feeling it that they are not cooperative, but still taking advantage of privileged positions. So they are expressing this disgust that they have been embracing in themselves. So attacks are coming from black people, and also white people. They have this as their top tier. They have this memory of yellow peril image, and especially towards Japanese Americans and all the other Asian races who are successful. You know, they became more successful than white people themselves and stuff. So we gave them too much kind of feeling they have. So Asian American hate crimes are happening by those two major groups, the black people and white people. you know. And now Asian American people must work very hard to establish the new image on the second stage as American citizens. This is pretty much what I have to offer. What would you think about the information I provide you? These are all general information, but it does not apply to every case. As I said, theories itself is not gonna solve practical problems, but they are true as general information and can be the basis of how we solve these social problems that is still going on and on in American society. So please let me know what do you think about it. Some of you probably know better than I do about you know things that I haven't seen in person. And if you like this kind of story, please click that red Dr. Samari logos and check out my best video playlist. Please also check the Google to deepen your understanding about what happened and has been happening between races and stuff. That will be very helpful for your own understandings. Okay, so thank you very much, and up until next time, please have a peaceful and wonderful time. Bye bye now.